Imagine the scene. A small wooden ship, alone on the vast, unforgiving expanse of the North Atlantic. It is the 18th century. The sky is a canvas of gray, the sea a churning cauldron of dark water. For weeks, the crew has seen nothing but endless ocean. They are far from home, guided only by the stars and the wind in their sails. Suddenly the water stills, the rhythmic rocking of the vessel ceases, an unnatural calm descends, a silence so profound it feels heavier than any storm. The sailors look over the side, their hearts pounding a nervous rhythm against their ribs, wondering what could possibly halt their progress in such deep waters. Then, they see it. At first, it is just a shadow, a darkness spreading beneath the surface, larger than any whale, larger than the ship itself. Bubbles begin to rise, breaking the glassy calm with a soft hiss. A strange disturbance ripples outwards. The water seems to rise, as if an island is emerging from the depths below. The men on deck freeze, their knuckles white as they grip the ship's railing. They have heard the stories, the hushed whispers in taverns from grizzled old seafarers. The surface of the ocean breaks. It is not land that emerges, but something alive. A colossal, glistening mass rises slowly, water cascading from its immense form. Then come the arms. They are thick as ancient tree trunks, covered in suckers the size of dinner plates. One enormous, intelligent eye, as large as a barrel, breaks the surface and fixes its gaze upon the tiny humans. It is a moment suspended in time, an encounter between two worlds that should never have met. This is the Kraken, and it has risen from its slumber to claim the sea. Early sailors lived in a world of profound uncertainty. Their wooden ships were fragile shells, constantly at the mercy of nature's raw power. Storms could splinter masts and tear sails to ribbons in moments. A hidden reef could gut a hull, sending a crew to their doom. In this environment, where the sea itself was a constant adversary, the human imagination began to populate the unknown depths with horrors. The Kraken was the ultimate embodiment of these fears. It was not just a large animal, it was a force of nature, a sentient entity of pure destruction. The descriptions passed down through generations were vivid and terrifying. The Kraken was said to be 1.5 miles in circumference, a living, breathing island. Unsuspecting ships might try to anchor on its back, only to be dragged down into the abyss when the creature decided to dive. Its many arms or tentacles were powerful enough to encircle the largest naval vessel. They could snap the mainmast like a twig. When the Kraken submerged, it created a gigantic, powerful whirlpool. This vortex was so strong that it could suck down any vessel. There was simply no escape. This fear was deeply ingrained in maritime culture. Sailors would carry charms or say prayers to ward off the beast. If a fisherman reported an unusually large catch in a specific area, others might avoid it, fearing the fish were being driven up from the depths by the movements of the sleeping monster below. The legend of the Kraken did not appear out of thin air. Its origins can be traced back to the cold, rugged coastlines of Norway and Iceland. The first written accounts come from Norse sagas, ancient stories from around the 13th century. These tales spoke of a monstrous sea creature called the Hafgufa. This beast was described as being so enormous that it was often mistaken for an island. The sagas told of how the Hafgufa would feed by regurgitating bait into the water. Once its mouth was full of unsuspecting prey, it would snap it shut, consuming fish, birds, and anything else unlucky enough to be caught in the trap. The legend was popularized much later in the 18th century. In 1755, the Danish bishop and naturalist Erik Pontoppidan wrote extensively about the creature. He treated the Kraken not as a myth, but as a real, albeit spectacular animal. He gathered accounts from fishermen and sailors, compiling them into a detailed description. Pontoppidan's descriptions were incredibly specific. He wrote that the Kraken was round, flat, and full of arms, and that its back appeared to be more than 1 mile wide. He noted that if sailors could successfully fish over a Kraken, they would have an unbelievably bountiful catch, confirming the older tales of the Hafgufa. Pontoppidan's work was hugely influential. Because he was a respected man of both the church and science, his account gave the Kraken an air of legitimacy. The stories spread throughout Europe, passed from port to port. The Kraken had been born from the mists of Norse myth and christened by the pen of a respected naturalist. For centuries, the Kraken remained a creature of pure legend, but strange evidence would occasionally surface. Fishermen would find enormous rubbery arms tangled in their nets. Even more bizarre were massive whale carcasses that washed ashore, their bodies covered in huge circular scars. These markings looked like they were made by giant suction cups. The deep ocean is a difficult and dangerous place to explore. For most of human history, what lay beneath the waves was a complete unknown. The giant suckers, the dismembered arms, these were not figments of the imagination. They were tangible proof of an unseen giant. The creature responsible was the giant squid, Architeuthis dux. This animal is one of the planet's most elusive inhabitants, living at depths of over 3,000 feet. Reaching lengths of up to 43 feet, its eyes are the largest in the animal kingdom, nearly the size of a human head, perfectly adapted for seeing in the deep-sea darkness. It's easy to see how a fleeting glimpse of such an animal could inspire the Kraken legend. Imagine a sailor seeing enormous tentacles, thick as a man's thigh, rising from the water. Or perhaps they witnessed the final moments of a battle between a giant squid and its primary predator, the sperm whale. The reality was a struggle between two of the ocean's largest predators. The transition from myth to science was gradual. For a long time, the giant squid was as legendary as the Kraken itself. The scientific community was skeptical. It wasn't until the 1870s that the giant squid was finally accepted as real, thanks to specimens that washed ashore in Newfoundland, Canada. Professor Addison Emery Verrill at Yale University was a key figure. He meticulously studied these specimens, giving the giant squid its scientific name, Architeuthis dux. His work provided the first detailed anatomical descriptions. He measured its enormous tentacles, examined its powerful beak, and documented its unique physiology. Science was finally catching up to the legend, replacing fear and speculation with fact and observation. The monster was being brought into the light of day. The circular scars found on sperm whales were confirmed to be battle wounds from encounters with giant squids, which are a primary food source for these massive marine mammals. Modern technology has allowed us to go even further. With deep-sea submersibles, we can now explore the giant squid's natural habitat. In 2012, the first ever video footage of a living giant squid was recorded, showing the magnificent creature moving gracefully through the darkness. The legend had finally been captured on camera. The moment of revelation is often less dramatic than the suspense that precedes it. The truth behind the Kraken is not one single monster, but fragmented, pieced together from several different deep-sea animals. The primary inspiration is the giant squid. Its enormous size, powerful tentacles, and elusive nature make it the perfect candidate. But there is another, even larger creature, the colossal squid, Mesonicoteuthis hamiltoni, believed to be even heavier than the giant squid. It lives in frigid Antarctic waters. It has the largest eyes of any known animal, and its tentacles are armed not just with suckers, but with sharp, swiveling hooks. What about the stories of the Kraken being mistaken for an island? This could be explained by natural phenomena, such as underwater volcanic activity that can cause water to bubble. Another possibility is the misidentification of large whale pods. When whales rest at the surface, their backs could resemble a lumpy, moving island. The Kraken was never one single creature. It was a tapestry woven from different threads. The terrifying reality of giant squids, natural ocean phenomena, and human imagination. The legend took the most frightening aspects of the real world and combined them into one ultimate sea monster. The truth is not a single beast, but a collection of natural wonders, seen through the lens of fear and myth. Even now, in an age of satellite mapping and deep-sea exploration, the ocean remains our planet's last great frontier. We have more detailed maps of Mars than of our own ocean floor. Over 80% of the ocean is still unmapped, unobserved, and unexplored. It is this vast, dark unknown that continues to fuel our fascination with creatures like the Kraken. The Kraken represents our deep-seated curiosity about what lies beyond our sight. It is a symbol of the wild, untamable power of nature. In a world that is increasingly controlled, the idea of a place where monsters can still exist is thrilling. It reminds us that we are not the absolute masters of this planet. Science may have explained the likely origins of the Kraken legend, but in doing so, It has not vanquished the monster. Instead, it has replaced one mystery with another. The giant squid, a creature that can grow to the length of a bus and has eyes the size of basketballs, is in many ways just as awe-inspiring as the mythical kraken. Ultimately, the kraken myth tells us more about ourselves than about the sea. It reflects our need to create stories, our tendency to populate darkness with our fears, and our endless capacity for wonder. As long as there are deep, dark waters, there will be whispers of the monsters that inhabit them. The kraken may have been exposed by science, but the sense of mystery it represents will live on forever, deep in the abyss of the ocean and even deeper in the abyss of our own collective imagination.